Hello again. Thank you for joining us for tonight's visit to Snowville. It's no exaggeration to say that it's one of the coziest places on Earth. You might have heard the phrase picture perfect. Well, Snowville looks like it could have come straight from the pages of a children's picture book. It's all spires and domes and twinkling lights. People come from miles around to see it. It could have been designed for a winter tour like the one we'll take tonight. The most amazing thing is that it all happened that way quite by accident. It's reassuring to know that places like this still exist. Nestled in the mountains overlooking a forested valley and a gleaming ribbon of river, Snowville is a beautifully preserved medieval town, renowned for its festive night market. On a snowy winter's evening, it's one of the best places to be. From a distance, the town is first a sprinkling of light, and then a warm glow tucked into the mountain's shadowy slopes. The headlights of the car that brought you here illuminated a beautiful stone archway with what looked like a bell tower on top. Somewhere as special as Snowville has to have a special entrance. When the car passed through the archway, you became aware of an atmosphere, a feeling romantic, mysterious, and comforting all at once. And when you opened the door and got out, it was as if you'd stepped out into a fairy tale. One of the many special things about this town is its lights. Everywhere you go, you find fairy lights cascading from buildings or illuminating your path through an ivy-covered archway. There are trees strong with lights, and lights running up poles, and the dazzling fairground lights of the carousel. There are the beaming store windows and the warm lights blooming from the upper story windows, as if the building's occupants might be having a cozy night in around a fire. The lights alone in this town could be enough to hold anyone's attention. As you stroll through the streets and square, every now and then stopping in front of a window display or a store to take in some new delight, like the store selling silver candle holders with a lacy design cut into them, the glowing candlelight showing off the silhouettes of designs, a leaping fawn, or a motif of stars which shine out into the night. You're strolling down a narrow cobbled street. There's a nip in the air for sure, and most of the roofs are still layered with snow, but you're cozy in your winter coat and scarf. You notice many of the stores have these incredible wrought iron signs hanging above their doorways. They're guild signs dating from medieval times. They spell out the name of the premises or the type of business with some kind of emblem. Here's one for a locksmith. It has a golden key hanging from it. The bracket holding the sign to the front of the building is wonderfully ornate, embellished with leaf motifs and curly cues. Here's another which shows a pig and a little girl in silhouette. This charming pair sits in the center of an iron ring with a further ring of spirals around it. Now that you're looking for them, you notice these signs everywhere, all along the street. And in the distance beyond the town, you can just make out the snowy mountain peaks. And above them, a crescent moon looking magical. Does the moon ever not look magical?
The night market occupies one side of the town square. The stalls are enclosed in wooden huts, decorated with fairy lights and sprigs of fir. You stroll towards the stalls, taking in the sounds and smells, sugar and pastry, spices, sizzling sausages, snatches of festive music, and the low hubbub of market goers. Here's a stall selling mulled wine. The deep pots the wine is prepared and send up clouds of steam as the stall holders ladle mugful after mugful for their customers. A gaggle of well-wrapped up people stand in front of the stall clutching their mugs, which are shaped like boots and gloved hands. You don't even have to taste it. Just the smell of the wine with its notes of orange, cinnamon, and cloves is heady and warming. You breathe in deeply. The next stall specializes in deep-fried balls of sweet pastry. You watch the stall holder rolling out an oblong of dough. Now he swiftly cuts it into strips and gathers it into a ball. He's used to being watched while he works, so he performs each action with a small flourish. Just before you move on, he looks up, catches you right, inclines his head, and doffs his white baker's cap as if to say, "Thanks for stopping by." Here's a store with a display of cuckoo clocks in the window. Their long pendulums, which hang from the base of each clock, swing back and forth. Beautifully carved out of wood, these clocks look like miniature chalets. The one you're looking at has tiny crisscross windows with red shutters and a balcony across the front, above the clock face with two colorful figures standing on it. The painted details on these figures are such that you can see one has a red waistcoat with white buttons, and the other is wearing a green dress. At the base of the clock are trees and the figure of a woodcutter who looks like he might leap into action when the hour strikes. Just as you're about to turn away, the clock chimes. Sure enough, the woodcutter lifts his axe, bends to chop wood, and straightens again. Meanwhile, the two figures shoot out of their balcony, bow to each other, and then retake their places. Perfect timing.
Now your eye is caught, dazzled actually, by what seems to be a gift store. The whole building is swathed in fairy lights. They run along the edges of its pointed roof, picking out a perfect triangle and curve around each window, so that from a distance it looks like a child's drawing of a house glowing in the dark.
There are a number of people milling about in front of the store, gazing in. You join them, all of you transfixed by the window display. It shows a miniature town, one that looks rather familiar. Of course, it's a miniature version of this town made up of detailed porcelain model houses laid out on 3 levels on a white cloth. It's so convincing. You might imagine you're viewing a real town from the air, nestled among the snowy slopes of a mountain. All of the houses have steep, pointed roofs, just like the real houses here, with their timber framework neatly painted on in chocolate brown. They almost look good enough to eat. Each house contains some sort of light source within, so their small windows glow enchantingly. Here and there, model people stand about in their model hats and gloves, taking a stroll around their little Snowville, just as you're taking a stroll around yours. You're standing in the town square. The snow has been cleared from the ground for the benefit of pedestrians, and you can feel the cobbles under your boots. Directly in front of you is a huge building, which you assume must be the town hall. It boasts several turrets. If your eyes don't deceive you, it's evening after all, and those spires are some way up. It looks as though there's a small triangular flag flying from each one. It wouldn't be a surprise to find out that a fairy tale princess lived here. The town hall has a great number of windows, including about 8 peeping up from the roof, which is dusted with a light layer of snow. The rows of windows twinkle in the darkness like candles on an elaborate cake. It's only a building, of course, but you sense a benevolence and kindness emanating from the town hall. It's glad to see you.
As you're wandering around the town, you notice a set of stone steps leading upwards. Just like the streets, these steps have been thoroughly de-iced. You take hold of the sturdy wooden banister and ascend to find yourself on the town's ramparts, a stone walkway circling the walls of the town. It's lit by lanterns, affording you a wonderful view of the town at night. The pointed roofs of the houses seem to jostle together at this height, some still coated with small drifts of snow, some releasing little puffs of smoke from their chimneys. The cobbled texture of the small round tiles on some of the roofs almost makes them look knitted. On the streets below, you can see people wandering about in woolly hats, peering into shop windows, sampling local delicacies, and celebrating their finds with each other. The ramparts, though, are quiet, and you stand still to enjoy this peaceful moment, looking up at the night sky, which is a deep, dark blue, splashed with stars. Attracted by faint strains of fairground music, you wander over to a rather beautiful carousel, which occupies one corner of the town square. As you approach, you take in its parasol-like top and candy cane stripes rising to a point in the center. All around the edges of this top, like a kind of crown, are a series of mottled crests
depicting faces with bright eyes and cheeks inside Baroque golden frames. Beneath the crests, the red and white stripes descend into an awning with a gently undulating ham, which flutters a little with the motion of the carousel. And beneath that, there are the painted horses gliding up and down. Standing in front of the carousel now, you watch a little girl with flushed cheeks, holding tight to the spiral pole rising from the neck of a dappled white and gray horse. The horse's painted bridle is electric blue, and its body is decorated with pink and yellow flowers and green leaves, as though it was wreathed in foliage for a celebration. The girl's expression is rapt as her horse rises and falls. Every now and then she pats its sculpted man with a mittened hand and praises it for making this epic journey, saying, "What a good horse." A light snow has started falling now, and the people around you quicken their pace, bundling in closer under awnings and stomping the snow off their boots as they enter the town's guest house, presumably to partake of some warming repast. It's a hard timbered building with wonky beams and sleepy-looking leaded windows. Each time the door opens, there's a faint burst of an enclosed sound being briefly set free before the peaceful atmosphere that the snow has brought resumes. Smudged by the snow flurry, the lights decorating the town are becoming muzzy, losing their sharp edges. You snuggle more deeply into your scarf, preparing to head indoors, but first you can't resist looking up at the gathering whiteness, brightening the dark. As you do, one or two snowflakes alight on your cheek, gently, like a goodnight kiss.